Thank you.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Father, we pray for the nation and its many challenges, including our political process. We speak against the domestic terrorists and the street violence in our country, and we lift up all the families who have suffered loss due to the virus and loss of jobs and so much more. We ask for a peaceful election process. We also pray for those that are in the path of the Hurricane Delta. We pray for the continued blessings, for your continued blessings on the Near East Side Area Commission and its residents and its commissioners. We pray your protection over them and the work of their hands. We pray for the president. And Father, we pray 2 Chronicles 7:14. It says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Father, we thank you in advance for a productive meeting. Bless everyone on the line today. It's in the name of Jesus I pray. Amen.
Okay, now, thank you so much. Now, Mr. Obaya, if you want to unmute and who's calling me? Now you can go ahead and do what you were planning to do, which we are officially called to order.
Thank you, Chair Beatty. Again, so I do see a list of attendees, and most of them do have their names on there. But there are a few callers, a few people who called in, and they only show up as call-in user 3, call-in user 4, call-in user 5, and call-in user 6, and the user 7. So I unmuted all of the who is on the call.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Okay, I'm not hearing anything.
Hello?
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 I'm seeing computer issues.
Commissioner Disman, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Hello, this is Bob Petrakis. We hear you.
Okay. Commissioner Cooley, would you move forward with the attendance, please?
Okay.
Commissioner Disman, you can hear us now?
Okay, I'm taking attendance.
Okay.
So if you can unmute yourself. Is Commissioner Alexander here? No. Commissioner Bailey?
Present.
Commissioner Boykin? Yoo-hoo, Commissioner Boykin. See her here. Commissioner Brown?
All right, present.
And Commissioner Mason, are you there too, right?
Yes, present.
Okay. Commissioner Cooley is here. Commissioner Curry D'Souza?
I'm here.
Okay. Commissioner Disman is here. Commissioner Downing?
I'm here.
Duckett? Petrakis?
Here.
Lowenstein? I saw him somewhere.
I'm here.
Okay, here you go. McGowan? Is that you, McGowan?
I'm here.
Okay. Prieto? Here. Ross Womack?
I'm here, Commissioner Lowenstein. Can you mute your phone?
Just a second. I'm moving.
Whitesides? White sides, anybody? White sides? No. Okay.
Yeah, she's having
Now,
difficulty. She should be hopefully be on soon.
well, just notify me when you get in. Now, community roll call. Do we have anyone who is representing the community?
Yes, Commissioner Brown, Brownsville Neighborhood Association.
And A. Brown.
McGowan, South and Main Civic Association.
Okay. South and Main Block Watch.
Bailey?
And let's see. Is anybody else here? I know there's Commissioner Curry D'Souza. Nobody else?
Sorry,
Okay.
Franklin Park Neighborhood Association, Franklin Park Civic Association, Eastgate Garden Civic Association, Historic Poindexter Block Watch.
Okay, got it. Thanks. All right. Thank you.
All right, now we'll take a moment to look at the minutes. I believe Commissioner Cooley got them out. You take a moment and we'll accept, I will entertain additions and or corrections.
Commissioner Boykin, I move to accept the minutes of the September meeting.
Second, Jacqueline Downey.
Thank you. It's been moved in second. Those in favor, please indicate by, I don't know. Is anybody not in favor? Since this is a little difficult on, all right, thank you. All right, well, okay with the minutes. All right, now, did Commissioner, I was off and on, so Mr. Obaye, did you get a chance to get the ID of the attendees? Because we'd like to do that before we start the zoning report. Did you get a chance to get everybody?
Yes, ma'am. The people that I left the lines unmuted for a little bit. We have Commissioner Desmond on line 3.
Okay.
And so I have 2 people on line 6 and line 7 who haven't identified themselves. So again, I'm going to try to unmute them to see if they can give their words or themselves.
Thank you.
So again, if you called in using the telephone line, I do not see your name. I cannot see your name. So if you could please identify yourself so I can know who is on the call with us, I would really appreciate it.
Ms. Lois Scott. I'm on the line.
Kathy Bittner.
I'm Miss Scott.
Hi.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, so everyone's identified themselves, or you have their names so you can unmute them?
Yes.
Okay, so with that being done, now let's start with the zoning report. Commissioner Womack.
Okay, so let's get started. So first up, we will have, I'm going by the date of these applications. We're going to have an update, a little brief update from 750 East Broad Street, Brian Higgins, here to solidify his demolition and just give us a brief update. No Q&A, please, just a brief update of where he is with the project so we can move forward and it'll be minimal Q&A. So can you find Mr. Higgins and bring him up, please?
Yes, Commissioner Womack, I have switched them over.
Okay. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Whiteside is on.
Record reflects.
And could everybody just mute their phones, please? I mean, their speakers, other than the chair and then the secretary. Everyone else can please stay mute. Mr. Higgins, are you on? Is he in the list, Mr. Valle?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Can you speak up a little louder? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to give you a quick update. Demolition at 750 East Broad will begin the setup on Monday, and I think actually they're swinging the demo ball on Tuesday. So I was able to get the demolition application signed by Chair Bailey yesterday. She said it was implicit in the approval of the zoning, but that of course formally she needed to sign. So that's been taken care of, and demolition should take about 3.5 weeks, at which time we'll move into construction. Construction is estimated to take 14 months. So assuming there are no unforeseen delays, we're looking at approximately March of 2022 for completion.
Commissioner Womack, you're on mute.
I ain't say nothing that much. I just said 3.5 weeks, 14 months. If you do have questions for Mr. Higgins, I will send everybody his email address, and you can email him as progress. And we understand that our District 1 commissioners will be watching the project, so they can be our point for any Q&A on that. Is that okay with everyone? Just shake your head, raise your hand. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Higgins, for the update. So you said 14 months. So you said spring of 2021?
2022.
Oh, spring of 2022. Okay, 22. And I do know that our district commissioners in District 1 and myself have a proposal for the naming of your building. I don't know if you thought of a name, but in our neighborhood, we do have names. So I need you to muddle that around, and they will be contacting you forthwith on that.
We do have a name in mind, but I'm willing to hear what everyone has to say, of course.
We don't like it. Next. Okay. I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for the update. For everybody that is 750 East Broad Street, the old medical building there on the corner going into Hamilton. So Hamilton and Broad, adjacent to or across from the church. So you get the bearings right. So once you go over, you'll start seeing the earth moves on tomorrow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. We will go over to Council Variance 20-004. That is 1223 East Long Street. Mr. Flynn, is he here?
Commissioner Womack, he is. I am going to switch him over to a panelist.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn completed everything. He's in the minutes that we just approved. He had a family emergency at the last minute, so he could not attend the zoning vote. Council Variance 20-004-1223 East Long Street, the old Brothers Pizzeria across the street from Chase, the old Bank One building. We did vote to approve with the stipulation. I'm going to read the stipulation that was written. We voted to approve Council Variance 20-004 with the stipulation that any signage depicting neighborhood involvement be developed with Bronzeville input to assure that BNA, Bronzeville Neighborhood Association, is given premier billing for the years of work in the neighborhood and working hard to get the historical designation in the neighborhood. So again, that was the approval and the proviso of the approval, and we did vote to approve Council Variance 20-004 with that stipulation. Mr. Flynn, are you on? Is he on?
Can you hear me? You can hear me? I'm here.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. Yep.
Okay, so Mr. Flynn, do you have any other thing to say about the application? And do you understand?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the only other thing you had mentioned something about exterior lighting and everything, so nothing has changed.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Chair Bailey, the zoning committee did vote to approval with the stipulation that you and others put into the vote. Chair Bailey. Okay, we have to.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here, but okay. Hearing there are no other additions or corrections, or any more questions. We'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the NEAC Zoning Committee for what's that address again?
1223.
So move.
So moved by whom, please?
Downey.
Downey. Okay. Second.
Second by Commissioner Brown.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Commissioner Cooley, would you call the roll, please?
Here I go. Commissioner Alexander, you still not here? Commissioner Bailey? Commissioner Bailey? Oh, you don't vote. Commissioner Boykin?
Yes.
Voting yes. Hello, Miss Commissioner Boykin?
Yes.
Okay. You're voting yes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Cooley votes yes. Commissioner Curry D'Souza?
Yes.
Commissioner Disman?
Yes.
Commissioner Downey?
Yes.
Commissioner Duckett? Still not here? Commissioner Petrakis?
Yes.
Commissioner Lowenstein?
Yes.
Commissioner McGowan?
Yes.
Commissioner Maisner?
Say it again. Yes.
Commissioner Potato?
Yes.
Commissioner Womack?
Yes.
Commissioner Whiteside?
Yes.
Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 for, and 0 against, 0 abstention.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Flynn. Now, Mr. Flynn, are you still there? Well, okay, we'll get together and get you the approval slip signed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Bailey.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So next we have CV 19-136, 80 South 18th Street. Mr. Hodge, Mr. Wapner. Could you bring them up, please? Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Womack. I'm going to switch them over.
So why is this?
Commissioner Cooley, Mr. Alexander has come into the meeting.
Got it. Thank you.
Jesus, I'd like to share from Andrew Wapner 1.
I am sending the permission right now.
Thank you, I got it.
Okay, before they get started, if everybody would just like turn their camera off while they're presenting and then come back on when you get ready to talk, I think it'll eliminate some of the chalkiness going on here. Except for, I can't tell Chair Bailey what to do, but I'm going to do that as well. So again, this is because we're trying to look at everybody. This is Council Variance 19-13680 South 18th Street, represented by David Hodge and Mr. Wapner. The zoning committee, voted not to approve the zoning application at the site. It was a recommendation of no, but they will be presenting with any questions that you can have so we can move for the general vote. So we have presented all of the letters in the zoning meeting from everyone who sent one in. We had an exhaustive reading of every letter that was sent into from the community. We talked about the points. We did all of that. So if you have any questions about those, then I will fill those. And from the commissioners, if you have any questions about the community standpoint, I will fill those questions, and then we will allow the applicants to do a mini brief summary of the project. So take it away.
Okay, for me to go, Commissioner Womack?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. David Hodge, attorney for the applicant, Metropolitan Holdings. Appreciate the opportunity to be here on this project this evening, and most of you are probably aware that this one has been a long time coming. Got held up by COVID and various things along the way, which I'll mention briefly. I'm going to do my very best not to talk too much. Before I get into the merits of this, I'm not the most religious guy in the world, and a lot of people know that, but Ms. Disman, that prayer was on point earlier, so thank you so much for that. I have no idea. You must have been prepared for that. Surely that didn't come off the top of your head. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So what is this project? This is at the northeast corner of Oak and 18th. It involves the Seventh-day Adventist church that all of you know there, that kind of frames that northeast corner with a sheer brick wall at both legs at Oak and 18th. It also involves some property owned by Red Cross clear down to Hoffman. That property today is in a mix of zonings. There's some commercial, there's some residential. We are proposing a rezoning of that property to a CPD, commercial planned development district. That will allow us to create the project that most of you can see on your screen. It is a mixed use project with some commercial uses at the corner of Oak and 18th, some parking at grade on the first floor, and 122 apartment units. What have we done? After we filed this application back before the world ended, we worked on this. We had a Saturday morning meeting over at the Red Cross parking lot, heard from the community there, and took several steps back to do our very best to work on the project. We also have spent a little time with OTINA and also some of the individual property owners to do the best that we could to refine the plan that is before you this evening. One of the criticisms on this development was the architecture. So we worked very hard on the architecture to address materials, to address aesthetic, to address the roof line. Most of you can see this kind of green mansard roof that pitches it, gives it a lower residential feel. Worked with some very capable architects that are members of this commission to make sure we could bring a project that hopefully a majority of this commission can support. Parking was an issue that was discussed and was a concern of folks we heard from. We do not have a parking variance here. We meet the city's minimum requirement, but we really wanted to understand whether there was a parking issue here or not. So even though it was not a requirement of us from the city of Columbus, we commissioned a parking study that we then submitted to Parking Services at the city of Columbus. Parking Services concluded that there's not a parking issue now, and after this development, we are not going to burden the available on-street parking. The other thing that we did And it took us a little time because we wanted to make sure that we got this part right. We took some criticism at our Saturday morning meeting back before the world changed about not engaging with the New Faith Baptist Church across the street from us there on the south side of Oak. New Faith Baptist has had the ability to park on this Red Cross lot from a zoning back from 1985. We evaluated that old legislation. We engaged with Pastor Key, some others in the congregation, and have an agreement to provide New Faith Baptist an easement in perpetuity to park like they have in the past on this Red Cross parking lot. What Andrew just put on the screen is a letter signed by the pastor of that church, Pastor Jeffrey Key. I think there was some discussion at the meeting Saturday morning about whether or not that was accurate, but in front of you here is a letter with ink on it signed by Pastor Key. So that was important to us. It was hard to do. Red Cross was a little obstinate. We had to do some arm twisting to make sure that that easement got into place on that property for the future.
Mr. Hodge, could you shoot a pin in it real quick? Commissioner Whitesides, can you please turn off your camera, please? Thank you. Commissioner Brown, could you turn off your camera, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. The other thing that we've looked at, and this is slightly modified. It's not modified, but this is some additional information that we really did not have on the ready at the meeting Saturday. This project is and will be providing affordable housing to the community. That affordable housing that meets the city's criteria for affordable housing. Now, what the city says and what we said Saturday morning is that 20% of the units, so in this case, about 24.4 or 25 of the units must be affordable. We're here to tell you tonight that we are going to exceed that requirement, and over a 15-year term, we are committing to providing a minimum, and we think we're going to exceed this, but providing a minimum of 50%. Half of these units are going to be affordable over a 15-year term. There were some folks at Otina who tongue-in-cheek said, you do something like that and we'll support you. Well, tonight we're doing it, and half these units are going to be affordable over the 15-year term. This is a great project. Not that it's totally without some feedbacks and some opinions, but unfortunately, in 2020, we in this community are creating jobs, which is a great thing, but we're doing so faster than we can create housing. We have seen housing prices and values skyrocket. That is burdening everybody. If you're a homeowner, your value goes up, but it is causing prices to increase and creating issues of affordability. This is a crisis in this community, and we are certainly in here saying that we're going to do half of these at the affordable rate. It's a great project. It's a beautiful project. It's an appropriate zoning. The city, we've worked hard with the city staff, not just parking services, but the Division of Transportation, the Division of Zoning, and the Division of Planning, and the city's staff's recommendation as this project moves forward to the Development Commission and City Council will be a recommendation of approval. We have a lot of work to do. We've got work to do with the Development Commission, ultimately City Council. We're committed to doing that work. We are appreciative of the process. In my 20 years or so experience doing this kind of work, I have observed that this process does work, that neighborhood input is important, that when a developer is willing to take in that input, take action, do the necessary homework, and make modifications to make a project more acceptable, that at the end of the day, you have a better project. I certainly think we've done that here. Andrew Wapner is here with me. He's with Metropolitan Holdings. Between the two of us, we'll do our very best to answer any questions that anyone has, but we respectfully request and really want and need a Near East Area Commission recommendation of approval on this project for it, so we can move on to the Development Commission and also Columbus City Council. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Wapner, do you have anything to share to this conversation?
No, I believe David covered all of the important points, and I'm just going to help answer questions as they come up.
Okay, so I was trying to do this in a manner in which we can kind of move this along. So I had asked everyone just to turn their screens off. But if you have a question, turn your screen on, and then I can go down the list. Okay, so everybody with their screen on has a question. So I'm gonna just try to go in order. Commissioner Whitesides, do you have a question, or is your screen still just on? You're muted.
Okay, I just unmuted. I doesn't have a question. I thought I turned it off.
Okay, can you mute yourself and turn your screen off for me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I see you, Mr. Lowenstein. I'm going in order. I'm trying to go down the row. Commissioner Alexander, do you have a question?
I do have a question. I appreciate the presentation. I saw you guys slides on affordability. What is that based off on? Like when you guys come up with that percentage, what's the rate? So like how much are these units going to lease out for you guys project or forecast?
You got that one, Andrew?
Yeah, so let me understand. You're asking how we come up with what is affordable?
That's correct.
So we don't come up with that. It's the city's formula for area median income. So we're basing our numbers on the city's criteria for affordability, if that answers your question.
Well, like the rates, are they based off HUD market rates, or what are those? How are you guys calculating the rates for the rental rates there?
Well, we kind of approach it from two directions. We do have a nearby project, the Yardley, which we've been leasing up over the past year. And so we look at the rates that project is getting and what we're able to lease up at, and we set some rates. Then we compare that against the city's requirements for affordability, and we may adjust some up and down. And after we did that, we looked at the city's requirements and saw that our current financial model projects that we'll have approximately 82% of units that are affordable. And thus we're willing to commit to providing 50% that meet the city's requirements, but we don't set the requirements. The city comes up with a formula, and then we just use that to determine how many we have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the rate is what I was more interested in, what you guys' rates were going to be down there based on that. But okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner K. Curry D'Souza. I see you, Mr. Lowenstein. I'm trying to go in order. K. Curry D'Souza.
Right. So this is a change from when we were talking about affordable housing on Saturday. Is that correct? This is a new calculation?
We actually had these in our model. I just on Saturday didn't really look at how many we were actually providing. So it's the same rents as we were talking about on Saturday. I calculated how many. I knew that we met the requirement. I didn't realize we were exceeding it by as much as we were. So we decided that we're willing to commit to providing 50%.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lowenstein. You're muted.
Thank you. I just unmuted. Yeah, just a comment to start. The 100% units for a 3-person household is about $75,000, and so that gives you, I guess that gives you some idea of what the income guidelines are for affordability. I have just one question. I've had this question all along since February. What makes it necessary, not necessarily desirable, but necessary to, in my opinion, cram this much development on this site in order for it to work for you? What makes it necessary to put as much as 122 units in a 4- and 5-story building on the site?
We think that the development that we propose here, Mr. Lowenstein, is appropriate in scale. That it meets the neighborhood, as people have heard me say. Oak Street from Parsons to Nelson is a mixed use street. A lot of times when you talk about appropriate density or appropriate intensity, you talk about parking. We are not creating any kind of a parking issue. We're meeting our demand on site and not going to burden the existing street at all. So we think that the scale, the density, the intensity of this project is appropriate at this location on this piece of property.
But Mr. Hodge, what makes it necessary to do this much? I understand why you feel it's appropriate. That's a different question. In other words, you're putting a very large number of residential units here. You're using every square inch of this as intensely as possible. Why is it necessary to do that, given that there's so much opposition to the massiveness of this for this site?
I can jump in if you'd like, David.
Well, I'm gonna let me answer this question. And the word necessary is interesting. I will answer it to the best of my ability, Mr. Lowenstein. I'm not sure you're going to agree with my response or even believe it, but some of the folks who have commented on this proposal cite to some interesting studies. They cite to MORPSI, to the 2050 study. They cite to the Near East Plan and various other studies. It's interesting. They cite it for the proposition that it would not support this type of development. I cite it for the proposition that it does. There was an announcement Monday night that the city of Columbus is undertaking a year and a half or a couple year study to rewrite our zoning code. That announcement was coupled with an announcement that we are no longer going to grow out. We are going to grow up. We are going to densify our core. We are going to not be wasteful of agricultural ground out on the perimeter, but we're going to use the resources and the infrastructure that already exist in our urban core. And so why is it necessary? It's necessary because it's creating affordable housing. It's necessary because it's environmentally friendly, because it means that people aren't going to move out and drive their car 25 miles into the urban core every day. It's necessary because it's consistent with 2020 practices, best practices and policies for urban redevelopment. It's necessary because it is not overly burdening the site as it exists. It's a well-done building. It's natural materials. It's a lot of thought and purpose, and frankly, a lot of work with immediate area stakeholders. Now, everybody doesn't agree, but we think it's well done, that it's tasteful, and that it's appropriate and necessary on the site.
All right, Mr. Lawrence, Commissioner Lawrenstein, do you have another question?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Alexander, do you have another question?
I do. I have another one. So I have a question. So you guys, Metropolitan Holdings, you guys own the Yardley. over on Parsons, are these rates going to be consistent with the rates at the Yardley? And I saw like one bedrooms for like $1,100 a month. Is that consistent for the market rate ones?
That's you, Andrew?
Yes, it is. It is similar rents. We're a little bit lower here than we are at the Yardley, but
Okay.
I can't say exactly how much.
So for the affordable ones, then, if it's based on $1,100 for the market rate for one bedrooms, what would the affordable one bedroom be?
I've pulled up something else that may help answer that question.
Or how much are the affordable
So what you
inside of the Yardley?
This may help answer your question on how we figure out the affordable units. So what I've got on screen right now in this box right here, this shows you a one-person household and a two-person household. So at 100% AMI, the city considers a one-person household to be affordable at these rates. So these are the rents that can be charged and considered to be affordable per the city's calculation. Does that help answer your prior question?
It does. So the max rent for one bedroom there would be $1,179 is the maximum rent.
Correct. For a one bedroom, the maximum rent to be considered affordable at 80% of AMI would be $1,179. At 100% AMI, it would be $1,473.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, seeing that no one else is on the screen. So Commissioner Whitesides, you're on the screen. Do you have any questions? Because you've been back and forth off on and on the screen. So can you turn your camera off, please, so we don't see you because you're walking around and so you're back and forth. So do you have any questions? Okay. So Chair Bailey, I believe that that's the end of the question and answer period. Nobody has any questions for me. Do you have anything in the chat, Mr. Valle? Or do you have anything in the Q&A, Mr. Valle?
Hey, Commissioner Womack, let me pull that up. I did not see anything in the chat specifically, but let me pull up the Q&A to see if there's something. So there is a question from a attendee regarding the landscaping, saying that it's minimal, if they could speak to that.
Andrew, flip over to the corner of the pocket park. So we're able to come in and preserve a portion of this pocket park and work with landscaping there. The landscaping that, flip over to the front of the building there, Andrew, now at Oak. We are landscaping the areas that aren't going to have building, and so we're using the spaces possible to include some softening and some landscaping at the property.
All right. If you have a question, no, we cannot unmute you. We did have Q&A and we did give people time to write written questions. So Scott, if you want to type a question, you can. I am not sure if I'm supposed to speak, but I am here. Thank you. Landscaping is minimal. What is the price point? Was that answered? The price points for 50% affordable units committed, and then I told he just showed you the AMI. So please type if that suffice for your Q&A. Okay, she said that suffices. Okay, since the same developer has already demonstrated the economic feasibility of 3 stories at the Yardley on Parsons, a larger thoroughfare, why is 3 stories not sufficient on 18th and Oak? I believe, Ms. Laura, that they did answer that. They went around with Commissioner Lowenstein about the height and the depth. So do you have a specific question? Are you saying that the feasibility of Yardley is different than what's on 15? So it says since the developer has already demonstrated economic feasibility for the 3 stories, why is 3 stories not sufficient at 18th and Oak? And I believe that I don't want to speak for them, so they want to do a 5-story building. I mean, it's the best thing I can tell you. So do you guys want to speak on that? Okay, somebody's going off. You're muted. You're muted. Mr. Wapner, you're muted.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Can somebody mute themselves because their phone is ringing? Okay, the question is, since the developer has already demonstrated the economic feasibility of 3 stories at the Yardley, why is 3 stories not sufficient or suffice at the 18th and Oak Street? So they want to know, since you already built a 3-story there, why couldn't you just build a 3-story here?
It's that's a little bit of an apples and oranges comparison. Very different properties, very different scopes and scales and acreages. They're very different.
Mr. Wapner, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say something similar, that the structure of the deals are different. The purchase price of the land is different. The amount of sidewalk and improvements and other things kind of beyond the right of way that the city requires is different. All of that affects the feasibility of the deal. And believe me, we've looked after every meeting if we can cut a floor off of this building, and it just does not work.
All right, thank you. Please type if that suffice for you in the Q&A. We are going down the Q&A asking the questions that you type in the chat. We did give residents time to submit written statements. We read those written statements at the zoning. The developer has your written statements. We've already voted on the property. So the other question is, if you did not exceed the minimum affordable housing requirement, would you be able to reduce the number of stories? If you did not exceed the minimum affordable housing requirements, would you be able to reduce the number of stories?
No.
Okay.
We're thrilled that we're able to exceed those affordable housing requirements here. And, we are at a minimum of 50%. We believe it's going to be far, far greater than that, but we were able to commit definitively a minimum of 50% are going to be affordable. I would, I get one chance here. And I don't know where we are, whether it's still time for commissioners to speak, but we've worked very hard on this. If there are other commissioners on here that have some things to say, I'd love to hear from them.
Hodge, let me run my part of the meeting.
I'm sorry.
I've asked people
Yes, ma'am.
to put their questions in Q&A to eliminate banter in chat. I cannot check a Q&A box and a chat box, and I will not do that. So we have a set of rules. If you can put your questions in the Q&A so we can go down them orderly, because I cannot go between 4 windows. So if you want an opportunity to participate, the rules were simple. Type your questions in Q&A, not in the chat box, because I cannot go back and forth between 2 boxes. So does anyone else have a question that they can put in the chat? And again, all of your letters were forwarded. All of your concerns were read in the zoning meeting. So does anyone have a question that they would like to put in chat so that we can proceed with the vote? Mr. Franco, do you want me to ask your question? Because you typed it in the wrong spot. pushing my button. Okay. Can no, I will not. I'm not reading, but can I? I'm talking. I'm not. I went through painstakingly and read all to the zoning committee. The zoning committee formed their recommendation. We do not have the time to read everybody's letter. So basically, to sum up the letters, they don't like the project. They think it's too big. They don't like the fact that it does not fit the fabric. The same things we've been going on. This is not a new project. I don't believe anybody in this room is new. So I don't think that we should sit here and regurgitate and assume that nobody knows what's going on with this project. I don't see one new name in this chat, nor do I see anybody that is new that has not submitted a letter. So to be fair on time, and not to belabor this as long, there have been 15 meetings on this project. There was not one letter that was sent to us that was a letter of support. All the letters said basically the same thing. It's too big, it's too tall, we don't like it. Why can't it be smaller? It's not enough grass. They're killing trees. The parking sucks. They don't want it there. It doesn't look like the fabric of the neighborhood. It doesn't project what the houses are. Oak is a narrow street. The buildings should better be on Parsons. So all the complaints that you have gotten, they sent to all the commissioners in June. Nothing has changed. You all got a copy of that letter that was submitted. And so we will not be reading letters, and I would appreciate if you would send your questions in the Q&A and not in the chat. But that's what's happening. So there's nothing new. Now there's only one new question in this chat. So what is the total value of the abatement this property will receive? What is are you getting a tax abatement? And if so, how much?
It is eligible for a tax abatement. I'm just a zoning lawyer. I don't know the answer to that question.
Does anybody know the answer to the question? Mr. Wapner, do you know the answer to the question?
I don't think that Andrew is a zoning guy and an architect. The Metropolitan Holdings has an in-house accountant that puts together the pro formas. Is it meaningful to the project? Absolutely. Is that purposeful from the city's perspective? It is, because they want folks to come into neighborhoods where they've established these abatements and commit to creating affordable housing. We are doing that. The city says you got to do a minimum of 20. We're committing to a minimum of 50. There's one. May I say one thing?
Okay, let me finish with the questions, Mr. Hodge. So in order to get that question, you'd have to contact the city. So if you send an email to the city, they can give you what the breakdown is for whatever the tax abatement is. If it's public dollars, you can ask the city development department. They can have the information.
Yeah, I was just going to add that the city creates these abatements to encourage developers, because without them, these types of projects can't happen. And the city wants to encourage densification in additional housing units, as Mr. Hodge mentioned earlier. And so without that, many of the housing projects in the near downtown areas would not exist and would not be feasible.
Thank you. So, and then also the final question in here is, we got the tax abatement. So, Mr. Scott, I'm not going to even try to pronounce your last name, sir, because I don't want to hurt myself or you. Please call down to the city to get that information. Someone wants to know, what is the maximum height of the building you are requesting? What is the maximum height of this building with the top and the setback of the elevation at the top? What is the top height of the building? You're muted.
The height of the building at the fourth story at the street is 42 feet. The maximum height allowed by zoning at the setback is 60 feet. I believe we're well under that. We're probably closer to around 52 feet or so at the setback. And then
So-
again, it's around 42 at the street.
So 52 feet under 60, but well above 29, as you were indicating in your question. So
Correct.
it's
Above
over 29, it's under 60.
It's 52 up at the units that are set back off the street that are going to by and large be out of view. I think Andrew said it's around 42 at the corner of Oak and 18th, which is the tallest portion of the building.
Correct. If you can see my cursor right here, it's about 42. And then it's probably around 52, 54 or so at this setback.
Okay, commissioners, I gave everybody on the panel the time to ask questions. So if you have another question, I can go back. But Commissioner Prieto, I believe, got kicked out. So Commissioner Prieto, can you turn your camera on and ask your question? And she will be our last question on this property.
I don't have a camera and I don't have questions because it was already answered.
Okay, because you typed something down there.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I say one thing, Commissioner Womack? Just one thing.
Wait a minute. Do you have a question? Commissioner Brown and Mason, do you all have questions?
Yes. A question.
As long as they question.
Oh, a question. No,
Yes.
I don't have a question. No question.
Okay. Mr. Hodge, yes, how may I help you?
Just really quickly, there was discussion about the letters that were received, and I want to make it clear that everybody understands that there was a letter of support submitted and is in the package from the New Faith Baptist Church and Pastor Key across the street.
Mr. Hodge, I did not allude that you did not have support. I said as they followed the rules, we, the commission, did not receive any of the letters for the project. So I was alluding to what we received on our Q&A. So we're going to go for the vote. And then if you guys have questions and comments on the vote, then you can do that at that time, commissioners. Chair Bailey, I believe we're done with Q&A. And again, the zoning committee, as the vote was taken, was not to approve the project. So you can call for a motion on the zoning and explain how that goes. And then I will mute myself and you can continue the process.
Okay, we need to accept the recommendation of the zoning committee. If you move, it does not mean you're for or against anything. It just means you simply want to put it on the table for a vote. So we need to have a motion.
Miss Bailey, I'm sorry, may I say one thing to you?
Go ahead, Chair Bailey.
This is your last chance. Last one.
Okay, well, I'll stay out of it. To accept the zoning commission's recommendation means that no's are yes and yeses are no. And
yes, we understand that. Okay. We understand that.
I hate those kind of motions.
Yeah, but what I'm saying right now is you need a motion in order to vote. So if you move to accept, you have to move to accept the recommendation.
Okay. Cooley.
Hey, whoa.
Okay, so moved. I just said Jacqueline Downey so moved. You need a second.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Downey. Okay.
Cooley.
It's been moved and second. Commissioner Downey, Commissioner Cooley. I am sorry. All right, now in light of what Mr. Attorney Hodge said, the committee voted against it. So if you vote yes, you're in agreement with the zoning committee not to approve it. If you vote no, you're not in agreement and you would like to have it approved. All right? Are we clear on that? He's right. Yes means no and no means yes. Does everybody understand that? If you vote yes, it means you agree with the zoning committee. If you vote no, it means you don't agree with the zoning committee. Does everybody get that? Okay.
Can you stop sharing your screen so she can see everybody for the vote, please? Mr. Wapner.
Commissioner Cooley, would you kindly call the roll?
Okay. So this is on the motion. Commissioner Alexander.
I vote yes in approval of the zoning committee's recommendation for no for the project.
Got it. Commissioner Bailey. I mean, you don't vote. Commissioner Boykin.
No.
Okay. Commissioner Brown.
No.
Commissioner Cooley. No. Commissioner Curry D'Souza.
Yes, I vote to support the zoning committee recommendation.
Got it. Commissioner Disman.
No.
Commissioner Downey.
Yes.
Commissioner Duckett is not here. Commissioner Fitrakis.
Yes, to support the zoning committee.
Commissioner Lowenstein.
Yes.
Commissioner McGowan.
No.
Commissioner Maisner.
No.
Commissioner Prieto.
Yes, to support the committee.
Commissioner Ross Womack. Commissioner Ross Womack.
I'm coming.
Oh.
No.
Commissioner Sides.
No, I think we got it.
We can hear you.
Commissioner Whitesides.
No.
Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 against, 0 abstentions.
Could you redo that, please?
Redo the vote?
No, redo the count.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 against. Let me see that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry.
Okay, because there's 14 people.
Yep, it's 8. 6,
Okay.
8, and 0.
All right, thank you. Chair Bailey, it's on you.
Okay, then the Nearest Area Commission does not support the recommendation of the zoning committee. We will move forward with a recommendation to City Council. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Zoning 20-056 1448 1450 East Main Street. Mr. Reynolds, are you here? I mean, Mr. Valle, I'm sorry, is he here? Because he can't hear me.
Commissioner Womack, he is. I am switching him over to be a presenter.
There we go. I'm here. Jack Reynolds.
Okay, somebody needs to unmute. Mr. Lowenstein, could you mute? And okay, Mr. Reynolds, are you sharing your screen?
I will share my screen. Here we go. Let's see.
Okay, this is. Mr. Reynolds, can you turn your microphone down some?
Yes, ma'am. How is that?
Go ahead with your presentation.
Okay. Again, the property is 1448 through 1450 East Main Street. Mr. Bernstein is one of the attendees as well. He's the owner of the property. The property's at the northeast corner of Miller Avenue and East Street. The current zoning is R3. It was rezoned to R3 in 1974 under the Model Cities rezoning that took place and rezoned a lot of commercial properties to the R3 zoning classifications. On site is a vacant lot here and a two-story brick building here that was built in 1920. Mr. Bernstein purchased the property. He intends to develop the property with a law practice on the first and second floor, and on the second floor will be an apartment as well. The rezoning request is, again, it's a CPD with C3 uses. There are 3 variances at this point in time. One is to allow 19 parking spaces on site for office and apartment use. 2 is to reduce the setbacks along the parking area from 5 feet to 1 feet. And the final variance is to reduce the frontage requirement from 60% lot width to 50% lot width. One thing that did happen in the last couple of days, that the city traffic engineering department came in and said that our curb cut along Cherry Street was only 14.5 feet in width, which does not meet minimum code requirement. So they asked us to open a curb cut along Miller Avenue in order to provide the required 20-foot opening for ingress and egress to the site. So that is reflective in the application that will go to City Council. And so again, pictures here show the rear of the property. You can see the green grass in the parking area. Next one is looking east on Main Street. Below it is looking west on Main Street. This is the 2-story building that is being rehabilitated. These areas will be glass panels, glass windows. The front door will be here approximately. And again, this is looking west at the building here on the lower end, from the St. Michael's to the west towards the existing buildings there. And page 3, and again, this is the rear of the building, and just looking at some of the different landscape, green space around the building. Again, the site was most recently a daycare. And again, Mr. Bernstein is looking forward to opening his operation in the community as quickly as he can get his building permits. And we're here to answer any questions that you all might have. So thank you for your time.
Okay. Okay, can you mute your microphone for me, please?
I will find it. Hang on one second. I am looking for...
Mr. Jesus, can you just mute him for me?
Yes, I muted him, and I will control you, Mr. Reynolds. Okay. So when there's a question, I will unmute you and mute you.
So for people who have a question about the project, turn on your cameras, please, so I can see you if you have a question. That's the only way I can get this done. Does anybody have a question? Ms. Whiteside, Commissioner Whiteside, do you have a question? Are there any questions in the chat? In the Q&A portion?
Commissioner Womack, I did not see any question.
Commissioner Prieto, do you have a question because you don't have a camera? So
I do not.
okay, because I'm trying to be cognizant of that because you don't have a camera. Commissioner Fitrakis, Commissioner Desmond, do you have questions because you're not on the screen?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So Chair Bailey, there are no questions, and the zoning committee voted to approve zoning 20-056 for 1448 to 1450 East Main Street.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Womack. I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the zoning committee.
Oh my
Move.
So moved.
I'll second.
Who moved first?
Whiteside.
And who is second?
This is Lowenstein. I said I moved as well.
Thank you.
Okay, those in favor of the recommendation of the zoning committee, please. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm thinking I'm in the room. Commissioner, would you move on? Would you move with the roll call, please? Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Commissioner Alexander.
I motion to approve.
Commissioner Boykin.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooley. Yes. Commissioner Curry D'Souza.
Yes.
Commissioner Desmond.
Yes.
Commissioner Downey.
Yes.
Commissioner Petrakis.
Yes.
Commissioner Lowenstein.
Yes.
Commissioner McGowan. Commissioner McGowan, you still here? Is McGowan still here?
You hear me?
Is that you, McGowan?
Yes.
I didn't hear you. What was it, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Maisner.
Yes.
Commissioner Prieto.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross Bomack.
Yes.
Commissioner Whitesides. Commissioner Whitesides.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 4, 0 against, and 0 abstentions.
I would like to thank you very much. I would like to say one thing. That is my district. That is District 4. And I'm so glad that we're starting to see market rate stuff on Main Street. We've got something besides a Save-A-Lot and a Salvation Army. So we are seeing Main Street turn into the commercial strip that it's supposed to be. Thank you very much, Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Bernstein.
Thank you, folks, very much for your time this evening.
We're excited to be neighbors. Thank you very much.
I have some Excedrin. If anybody wants it, I can walk over to your house.
That it?
Pass it over.
You got another?
I have one more. BZA 20-063, 148 South 17th Street, Dave Perry, and applicant single family dwelling. Mr. Valle, can you move them up, please? Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. Steve Bonder here, owner of the land and going to be owner of the home that I can hopefully put on the site. My wife and I are excited to become part of the neighborhood. We're actually expecting our first child on February, so looking forward to get started. So frankly, my wife doesn't kill me and get stuck someplace in the middle of construction. So with that said, I'm going to pull up the renderings and kind of the site plan, and we can talk through this and then answer any questions that you guys might have. So it is a single family home. It is at the corner of 17th Street and Gustavus Lane. What happens at 17th and Gustavus is the street actually turns into an alley between Gustavus and Franklin, as well as Gustavus Lane is technically an alley as well. I am shifting my front door to Gustavus Lane. The rendering here that you see is right at the corner. 17th is to the north. Gustavus Lane is off to your right. And what the materials are: real cedar, as well as hardy cement paneling and a metal roof. I know that in the last meeting on Saturday, I didn't have all the elevations for the committee. So what I've done is provided those. Garage, this is just down at another angle off to your right. Looking at the backyard, the total lot's a 53 by 82. It's not a huge lot. And obviously I'll have some fencing in place. This is the backyard as if there was not a fence. And then the directly side yard to the property. I am in for a couple of variances. Two of them are in relation to having it be on an alley. The section 3332.19, single family dwelling to be built on an existing parcel that does not front on public street. That's because 17th Street and Gustavus Lane is technically an alley. Maximum side yards required to reduce total side yard from 16 feet to 11 feet. And then the side yards along 17th, there'll be a 5-foot sidewalk that I'll obviously be putting back in. That will be new. And then there'll be a 2-foot setback planter bed that I plan on landscaping with different plants. Rear yard, mainly what is happening here is parking. I know one of the major concerns along 17th Street is the parking. What I plan to do is put a concrete pad off to the right where you can see my mouse. That will allow, hopefully, 2 cars, if it's not a large SUV, being parked on our property instead of trying to take up property or parking spots on 17th Street and or Franklin. The other piece that I wanted to share, because I know people have questions on this, is really and let me know if you guys can see this. I'm not sure if it's coming up, but on the site, is everybody able to see my screen right now? I'm looking at the corner in Google Earth. So this is Google Earth. This is what the current site looks like today, and just giving you better reference. So in the back, there is a side yard. We have a house, and then obviously 17th Street. But the thinking is that my front door would more or less come right in between the trash can and the recycling bin here. So with that, I really just wanted to open up to you guys and answer any questions that you guys might have for me.
Okay, same thing applies. If you have a question, turn on your camera. I got to close out some of these screens so I can see everybody. There's no questions. Commissioner Prieta.
Question.
Yes.
Wait a minute. I let Commissioner Prieta go first because I can't see her face. Commissioner Prieta, you have a question.
Thank you. I'm curious how, I forget what it's called, but how you're going to make that angle into the garage from there, but I'm assuming you have that all figured out. Just want to share comments. Since I live within a block of this, I heard from a couple neighbors and just wanted to share some feedback that while no one's real thrilled with this departure of looks, people are glad to have that you're providing parking and a single family home. And that's all.
Great. Setback I have with the garage in order to make turn radiuses work.
Thank you. Commissioners Brown and Meisner.
Go ahead.
Yes, Commissioner Meissner. I like the look of it, interesting use of materials. We didn't discuss previously, but is there a basement or partial basement in this?
There is a basement.
All right, thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? Commissioner Petrakis, I can't
Was
see.
that a yes or no on the basement?
Yes, partial basement.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Petrakis, do you have a question?
No.
Commissioner Desmond, do you have a question?
No.
Commissioner Lowenstein, your hand is up. Do you have a question?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay, because your hand was up in the chat area. Okay. One of the participants had a question mark. Do you have a question? Ms. Swank, Mr. Swank, do you have a question? Could you type it in the chat if you do? If you don't, I was just looking at the question mark you had. So I did send you a chat. You had a question mark next to your name. I know if you had a question. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, the zoning committee voted to approve the BZA 20-063 148 South 17th Avenue. Chair Bailey.
Yes, thank you. I guess to give an early comment on we did vote to support this design. And one of the things that stood out was the size, number, and application of windows. So it is a little more modern design, but I think it's keeping in, as you know, the houses in the Near East Side have an abundance of windows, large windows placed all around the houses, and we made note of that in the meeting, that he still replicated that, even though it's a later model house. The windows are facsimiles or are in concert with the kind of as I said, the number, placement, and size of the windows you see in older homes. So that was a very good characteristic, and that came out from the planning committee. Okay, thank you. You're saying the zoning committee recommended approval, so I'll entertain a motion for the recommendation of the zoning committee for the South 17th new bill.
Downey, so move.
Thank you.
Second.
Was that Desmond?
No.
Who's the second?
Boykin. Okay. Boykin. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Cooley, roll call, please.
Alexander.
I support it, yes.
Boykin.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Cooley, yes. Curry D'Souza.
Yes.
Desmond.
Yes.
Downey.
Yes.
Petrakis.
Yes.
Lowenstein.
Yes.
McGowan.
Yes.
Eisner.
Yes.
Prieto.
Yes.
Ross Womack.
Yes.
Whitesides. Whitesides.
Yes.
Okay, that's 14-0-0.
Thank you, everybody. Really excited. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
Send us an email on who you're working with so we can get that paperwork to you. Chair Bailey?
Dave Perry. So.
No, from the city.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. I'm with you. Thanks.
And we'll get the form for you that you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night.
All right. Okay, we'll move along with the planning committee. Can you, Commissioner Cooley, could you please bring up the minutes for that? Or could you read the minutes? Did she hear me? Hello?
Oops, I'm just reading away. Anyway. All right, September 7th.
Okay. Well, just the crux. I mean, you don't have to read all that. Just what we voted on, so everybody.
Well, we voted on a few things. We were primarily just to approve for zoning. The only land that were coming to zoning, so they presented, which we already discussed in the meeting.
Okay. But we supported the designs, right?
We did support the design for 985 Bryden, which the only change they had from 2 years ago was it had a carriage house. Now it is a 2-family dwelling with a 2-car garage. 282 South Monroe. We approved the design of the property, and then we did have a land bank property.
Okay.
And what was that person? Is she here?
I don't think so. Okay. That was a new bill.
Yeah,
you do have somebody down in the guest room. What's the person's name?
Oh, if I could look, can I find it? Just a minute. Sherry Neal.
No, that's not her.
She's not here. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The only other thing I have, unless does anybody have any comments, we didn't get those announcements. I don't think there's too much going on that we can attend. People are getting their flu shots now, and hopefully maybe in the spring we'll able to get back together in person. But is there anything else that we need to bring up?
This is Commissioner Prieto. Can I just make an observation?
Okay.
Maybe reflected in the minutes as well. I guess with all these projects going on, I think commissioners should be a little thoughtful about how the commissioners of the districts voting on a particular project. So for example, tonight Commissioner Fitrakis and I voted against the Oak and 18th because we know what our people are feeling and saying to us. And so we voted against it, but the majority of commissioners voted for it, but they're not right here in this district. And last month I was going to vote for that biodome thing, but then when I heard all 4 District 4 commissioners vote no, then I changed my vote as well. I just wish we could be a little more thoughtful about how the people who live in those districts are thinking and making those decisions.
Okay, well, let me tell you.
Can I make a comment on that, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, and with all due respect, I understand that, but I think much like the way I undertake the way I vote in everything, I listen to both sides, and I listen to the side of the people who don't agree with it, but then I also listen to the pros. I came here, I was thinking, and I said, this is going to be a mess, and what am I going to do here? And then somebody, my sister, not this sister, said, think up a pro and a con list. So just because some people and even people nearby are against something doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow suit. There could be many other reasons why you would think it's a good thing. And that can go not just for this project, but many things in life in general. So I, don't necessarily think that you just follow what the majority thinks. I know. And the thing is, are you talking to everybody in your neighborhood or just some people? There are some people who make noise. There are other people who don't. So that's the other part of it. Is it everybody you're talking to or just the people who complain and don't like it? Did you go around and take a survey and say, does anybody like this? Is anybody for this? That's all I have to say.
District 3 was completely against the health department. They did not want the city to have that building. They said it was a misuse of it. It was going to be trashed. It was going to.
I actually was for the health department, and I was in district.
All right. But I mean, it was going to be trashed. There were going to be needles all over the front yard. There was going to be a steady line of people from the Friends of the Homeless to the health department. The prostitutes were going to be serving their customers on the front lawn. These are the fears that they had. District 3 was completely against doing that. Now, if we move fast forward.
And again, completely, I love that building and I supported it. You need to be.
Well, wait a minute. I'll let you have your say in a minute. What I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Prieto, but again, I too think we need to put things on a scale and balance, because sometimes people say things out of fear. They don't really understand. When we have the issue about the what's the place where people stay in hostels in New York? Anybody who looks at Rick Steves programs on PBS, hostels are all through Europe. They are very well run. And one of the things, they use the internet very strongly. So if they come to your hostel, they love it, they just promote you like crazy. But yet we had neighbors over there that thought hostels were no better than low-income rooming houses. So sometimes people don't understand things. But again, you do have to weigh the facts. But I know for a fact we would not have had, if District 3 had its way, we would not have the health department that we have today. Now, on another note, we in the South of Maine were talking.
Well, just for the record, yeah. I just wanted to reflect in the record that while those arguments were made, that I was in District 3 and I supported because of the structure of that building. I was very direct on it. I always supported the project.
Right. Well, I did not want the Salvation Army there. They brought absolutely no jobs, and I'm not working against the Salvation Army, saying they don't do good things. They brought no jobs to the area. They don't even want you using their parking lot. And we wanted more commercial development to develop more neighborhood jobs, et cetera, and we didn't get it. So, sometimes you get your way and sometimes you don't. But again, I think
the record, I think you were right on that one, Chair Palin.
When you voted for it, so you be quiet. You be quiet, you voted for it. So what I'm saying is, you have to vote your mind. You really have to consider the pros and cons. And again, sometimes people are upset about things because they don't understand. What I see in a lot of these site hearings and things, I see fear. They're scared to death. Everybody's scared to death that their property values are going down. And I don't know anything that we supported, and all the time I've known, and I knew the commission before I got on the commission, of anything we supported that has ruined property values and forced people out of their homes. And these are the arguments we hear. You're going to ruin my property value. We're going to lose. And I have never seen that happen. So I agree. You have to weigh it. And just because the commissioners in the district, well, that's good. And again, you don't always hear. I agree too. You don't always hear everybody. You hear people who. But I just know when they came out against that hostel on Bryden Road, half of them didn't even know what a hostel was. It didn't even bother to find out. So the answer is vote your mind.
Well, I mean, the only thing I want to say about that is that I think I've tried to explain to everybody that we are voting on the zoning principles. And so when you look at zoning, you have to make sure the zoning lines up with the application. So, you know, and when you're a commissioner, you're not a commissioner just for your district, but for the whole Near East Side. So the problem is, you know, I've gone to some of these things, and you know, it's everybody's all emotional. Their feelings are in the middle. Everybody got all these emotions flying. I'm level-headed, so it's zoning. Are the setbacks right? Are this right? You have never heard me say, now if you bring out a piece of paper, you have never heard me ask anybody how you feel about the project. What's your emotional? It's about the zoning, the setbacks, the zoning code, and the zoning laws. Because once they leave here and they go downtown, they're going to look at nobody on this call is going to be able to go down there, jump on the table, talking about my feelings are hurting. I don't like the smells. I don't like the people. I don't like his mama. I don't like his daddy. They're going to tell you to get out, and they're going to tell you that we have to vote on the laws. And I've been trying to get this commission to the point where it's about the laws. You may not like the applicant. You may not like the way he looks, the way he talks, whatever. We cannot vote stuff down because we don't like people. Now, if they go to jail and they're criminals, huh?
No, I mean, I don't think that's happened in a lot of laws, like police having immunities are wrong. And sometimes you got to protest and take those laws.
Commissioner Petrakis, you're talking to the NAACP leader here. Come on now.
Destroying the area that's vibrant by putting a way too tall building. If you'd taken it down one story, it'd work fine. I think they went out and got a high-priced attorney and came in and railroaded it through in an area that was doing quite fine with their tax abatements. But, you know, the vote was 8-6.
Commissioner Petrakis, you cannot tell people how to vote. So for all you Republicans on the line, just because you're with the party, are you voting for the man in the bush? And just because you're part of a party, do you vote for the person in front of the party? You have to vote. I mean, I vote on the laws. I don't vote on whether I like a person. It's a lot of people out there that came sleazy people.
Some laws aren't good. Yeah, some laws you don't support because they're racist or
but what I'm saying is that wait a minute. What I'm saying is that nobody on this panel has the right to tell somebody how to vote. You can't do that. So if you don't like to vote, you can go downtown, Commissioner Petrakis. Don't make me come up your house. You go downtown and take it down to the downtown, but you can vote any way you want to vote. I mean, there's people on Twitter that have changed their vote. You voted one way at the site and you change different because you hear different arguments. So let's just, be adult about it. And, let's be adult about it and say you don't like it, but you can't solicit votes. So that's all I'm saying. You can't hope, maybe people feel guilty for the way they vote. We don't do that.
I think everyone's acting in good faith. I don't have any problem. I'm just.
Why is everybody having a discussion after the vote? That's what the open discussion is for.
Why are we making this so personal? Like, can we stay to task? Was that me?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just asking. We're making this real personal. It's not. We can't vote based on our personal choices. Can we move past this and move on?
Yes, I think we've heard.
Votes have already been taken.
The votes have been taken. Commissioner Prieto has the right to make her state her opinion. Everybody else has stated their opinion. Let's just move on. Thank you very much. That's it for me. I'm ready. I've had a rough day.
Anybody do you have any money?
Could I make one comment there? I agree with you that we should not be voting based on personal feelings and such, but I do have a concern. Concern I have is I don't have a sense of what principles the commission uses to vote. In other words, we had this controversial vote tonight. Okay, my side didn't win. I'm not mad or anything at people about it. But what it is that I don't understand on what basis people voted. What principles did we support or not support about that project? So each project that comes before us for a vote gets its own consideration, of course, but I don't have any sense of what the standard is that we're trying to hold projects to when they come before us for a zoning change. So that's a conversation for another day, perhaps, but I feel like there wouldn't be quite the same reaction to this if we had more of a sense of what is our idea about what ought to go in certain locations and not, instead of it just being sort of personal opinion.
Well, to your point, we have a training, we have award-winning Near East area plan that we follow. So the problem is we have trainings. We talked about the zoning laws. We have trainings that a lot of people don't go to. Because I know I went to a training with me and Commissioner K. Curtis Souza. We was the only ones there from the Near East side. I'm just saying. So we have trainings and we talk about zoning laws, and the Near East area plan is our footprint on what should go where. So just like every time they quote something about the Near East area plan, you guys should have a copy of the Near East area plan. So I can't say that I don't know what I'm voting for because I helped write the daggone plan. So I know the plan. That's why we ask you, do you have any questions? That's why we have a zoning meeting, so you can get these things out. The commissioners shouldn't even have questions going into the full body. It should just be the plan, because that's why you have an extra meeting. I mean, we have 4 meetings a month, 4 meetings. I get 4 meetings. And if you can't get a sense of what these developments are, that's when you dial yourself back, get the plan out, read it, lay it up with the thing. I mean, it's kind of simple.
Well, also, I want to say too that I think we need to have, I'm going to have Shayla Favor come to the commission. She is over housing. But I went to the mayor's housing conference. I do talk to people downtown, and I am telling you, and when these developers come here, they just don't pick something out of the sky and say, oh, this is what we're going to do. They are also getting advice from downtown. Now, one of the statements that Councilwoman Favor stated was, regardless, even at the rate that we're going, we do not have enough units being built. As I told you before, we lost about 40% of the land use when they put the freeway in. If you look at like I told you, you go down the street, when you get to I-70 and you cross that bridge, that used to be nothing. There were houses all over the place. We lost all of that. So the sentiment downtown right now is they need to make up for that. And like they said, they don't want you moving out, they want you moving up. That's why you're getting these proposals for 2 buildings on a single lot, or higher buildings. I told you before, they've got saying that they want more people here, and they want use of land because we've lost quite a bit of land. So these developers are not just picking stuff out of the sky and say, oh well, I think we'll do this, I think we'll do that. They're getting advice from downtown.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Part of this is also because they're taking their properties that they're paying very little for, and they're going to maximize the amount of money that they can make off of every one of these properties. To say otherwise is not being realistic. There has been nationwide
American
review
dream,
of
that's the American way.
How
there have been a review. I'm speaking.
How did you know what they paid for it? Okay.
There's a review.
How did you know what they paid for it?
There's a review currently going on of housing projects because of what's going on with COVID, to start looking for more projects to be more affordable living choices, because right now we're in a pandemic and people can't afford some of the costs that are coming in from these projects that have been previously proposed. There is a retooling of that. We're not seeing enough of that, I don't think, in our area. The land space is very limited. Right now, people are interested in our area. That's not going to change because we're so close to downtown. And I don't think that as a commission, we're expecting enough of the developers and asking enough of them when they're coming here, because we do have something valuable. We have great neighborhoods here. We have a lot of great land. We already have a lot of existing housing that exists that is fantastic. And I think that we need to be asking for more than that. So today, when we have a committee that has already given a recommendation, and this isn't the first time that this happens, and I'm sure it won't be the last, but when we give a recommendation and then we're not even following all the letters that came in from the area, from the residents that are from there, surely no, we haven't talked to every resident in the area, but that's certainly a good representation that there was no support for something like this today. And that's problematic when I see that we're supposed to, yes, look at projects as a whole and how it fits in with our area, but we're also supposed to be representatives of the people who live here. And I don't see that happening. When I look, I try to, I'm speaking.
Is that
Thank
we
you.
should not
You
be
can
having
wait.
a discussion after the vote. That's not even the way
This
it
isn't
goes.
about this vote. It's
Yes,
about
it
in
is.
general.
Yes, it
It's
is.
about
It's
in
about-
general.
This is
It's about
about
in general.
this is about that particular vote.
Oh my goodness, everybody.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll be in there.
I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Wow, that is not how this is supposed to work.
Bye. Thank you, Commissioner.
Are we going to have an idea of when we're going to have voting happening? Because that was the question I was going to ask next. If we had followed a reasonable point of order in the meeting.
Okay, we're still waiting to hear from the city because you know they have stopped everything. So we'll get with Mr. O'Brien and find that. That's why we haven't done anything, because they have suspended all voting. So we'll, as soon as we find out, we'll let you know. Okay? Are you shaking your head? No, you don't think I'll let you know?
Well, as a district, how come you haven't forwarded these so-called letters that you're receiving? How come you forward to other commissioners that are not in that district?
Oh, somebody's still on that?
Because I've never received anything.
These are letters that came. These are letters that were mentioned tonight that went to the committee chair.
If you have such a big group that's against a project, I've never received anything from other districts.
Those went directly to the zoning chair. They didn't come to me. They went to the zoning chair.
They still have a right. Listen to me. They still have a right to go to city council.